So everyone all week has been talking about this article that came out with Variety earlier this week, and I have not done my video on it. And I'm not anywhere near being one of the big channels covering the nerd stuff here on World of Geekdom. It's just me, it's just my opinion, but I may give you a different insight than other people would, only because I've dealt with different kinds of creatives in my life and maybe I have a different perspective. But I want to talk about this with you guys. The article was written by Tatiana Siegel in Variety, and it's called Crisis at Marvel, Jonathan Majors' Backup Plans, The Marvels Reshoots, Reviving Original Avengers, and More Issues Revealed. Now, says here, this past September, a group of Marvel creatives, including studio chief Kevin Feige assembled in Palm Springs for the studio's annual retreat. Most years, the vibe would have been confident, even cocky, given how the premier superhero brand owned by Disney since 2019 has remade the entertainment business image. Yeah, Marvel's been the biggest thing. For this occasion, it was angst-ridden. Everyone at Marvel was reeling from a series of disappointments on screen, a legal scandal involving one of its biggest stars, and questions about the viability of the studio's ambitious strategy to extend the brand beyond movies into streaming. So, I'm going to give my thoughts on this real quick. So, what they're saying is, throughout the years, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, Marvel's been very confident because they did so well. And coming into phase 4, obviously the pandemic came around that time, but they were confident with the Disney Plus shows that they'd be able to add more stories, create more characters. And even though they lost Iron Man and they lost Captain America, they could still tell stories going forward. Now, if you guys remember, and many of you guys might not remember this, but do you remember how years ago the plan before Endgame came out? No, it was actually, okay, it was before Endgame came out, but it leaked afterward. Is that the plan going forward with phase 4 and 5 would be that they would focus on Captain Marvel and Spider-Man as being the two new characters that would take over for Iron Man and Captain America. That's why you had that sort of father-son thing in Homecoming. Remember that? So like that was sort of like Tony kind of passing the torch, and in a way, and of course Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. That is that's probably not going to work for a few reasons. Number one, Marvel had that issue with Sony a few years ago, so there may be some mistrust there as far as them allowing Spider-Man to be the centerpiece of the MCU. And number two, we've heard reports that Brie Larson does not want to play Captain Marvel anymore. I think she's going to be donezo, especially after Secret Wars. I could see her coming back for that, but I think she will be done. And I know a lot of Marvel fans are happy about that because Brie Larson is very much not liked by a lot of people based on things she said. She talks too much, right? She says too many things that people don't like. I understand that. But she's gone. And ultimately, it's not a big deal because even though Carol Danvers in the comics, when I was a kid, as Miss Marvel, the original Miss Marvel, was way more likable, Captain Marvel to me is not that important to the MCU. It's just not an important character. And I haven't seen the Marvels yet, so I doubt it's going to change my mind, but that plan is gone. Now these guys are reeling because they've had bomb after bomb. The Disney Plus shows were not well received. WandaVision was about to be well received until that whole Ralph Boner controversy, and then many of you remember that the with Hawkeye, like that was my last time watching a Marvel show until She-Hulk. She-Hulk was a complete disaster, Now, I am actually now watching Miss Marvel because I never got to see it, because I want to see if I'm going to like the character and give my own thoughts on it. So I will have a video at some point soon when I finish all the episodes. I've watched 1.5 episodes. When I finish the other 4, I'll go ahead and give my thoughts on the channel like I promised you guys I would. But basically, there's no secret, man. Marvel has been in disarray. And they're talking about the whole story with Jonathan Majors. Now, as of right now, the Jonathan Majors domestic violence charges are still ongoing. This guy has not been convicted. He's not a criminal. And honestly, I'm not really sure if he will be. More and more evidence keeps coming out that maybe he wasn't really the instigator of this whole incident. And we'll see what happens in court. But this should not surprise everybody. Marvel's backup plans for Jonathan Major. Of course they're going to have backup plans, dude. Jonathan Majors was supposed to play the new lead villain for Phase 4, 5, and 6, Kang the Conqueror. That's who they were going to put their money on. You know, I don't want to say the new Thanos, but Thanos was the overarching villain of the first three phases, and now we've got Majors as Kang taking over from here. And he's a great actor. But if the dude gets convicted, of course Marvel's going to change, you know, what they're doing. So here, you know, is Marvel in trouble? That's the big sort of story here with, and it's funny how what you're seeing there in the middle are a lot of characters that are now kind of being the focus of the new MCU. Unfortunately, She-Hulk is there, but the whole idea behind this drawing is that fans are turning away. See, there's the popcorn on the floor. People are not going to these movies like they should. Listen, I like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. There's a lot of things about it I don't like, but I had a good time with the movie, mostly because of how good Majors was as Kang. He really made that movie awesome. His scenes were the best thing about the movie. But a lot of people didn't. And I respect that. Love and Thunder, disappointment. Doctor Strange, disappointing to many. Black Widow, another disappointment. I think that a lot of these new movies have just not, they haven't hit the mark yet. They just haven't hit the mark. So this is the article, or this is the quote that had been talked about multiple times. And I want to discuss this. Marvel is truly fucked with the whole Kang angle, says one top deal maker who has seen the final Loki episode. And they haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until recently because of the WGA strike, but I don't see a path to how they move forward with him. So I think a lot of people are misconstruing this quote. I think what people are automatically assuming is that they've already changed their mind about Kang and they're going to move on with a different villain. I don't think that's the case. I think that they are still going on with Kang. I think we're probably going to see the Kang Dynasty. We're probably going to see the Council of Kangs again in the low-key finale next week. I think they are only worried because the low-key finale is probably going to cement 100% that Kang the Conqueror is coming and that the Avengers are going to have to assemble once again to stop him. That's what I think next week's gonna go through. And I think what he's saying is, if Jonathan Majors does get in trouble, if he is found guilty, if he is prosecuted fully, if he does end up doing jail time or whatever, and Disney has to change their minds, it's gonna feel shoehorned. And that's something that I talked about here months ago, guys, when the story first came out. Like, of course, that's gonna be a problem. Of course it is. It's like if you're making a movie and somebody dies during the making of it. You know, like what happened to Carrie Fisher in the sequel trilogy. They didn't do a good job, but whenever something like that happens, of course you're going to have to course correct. I don't think Marvel wants to change. I don't think they want to change the direction of Kang being the main villain, but I think that they will if they have to. That's the way I'm seeing it. And watch, I think I'll be right on this one. I'm telling you, I think when this is all said and done and this all settles down, I know I'm going to be right about this. They don't want to change their mind about Kang. Now, they discuss how the Marvels has no hype behind it, which is true. There's a bunch of reshoots and there's no hype behind that movie. That movie's probably going to lose money. Let's be real. The Marvels has no buzz. The Marvels couldn't have come out at a worse time. It even talks about here that 2019's blockbuster Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was a blockbuster because it was the last movie before Endgame, and everybody wanted to see it to see how it would tie into Endgame. But the reality is Captain Marvel is not over. The fans don't love her. A lot of fans straight up don't like Brie Larson, and so it's just not going to work. Like she's not a beloved actor or actress. There's actors that are beloved, like Robert Downey Jr. is beloved. People love that guy. Even Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Like Chris Hemsworth as a person, super likable guy. You know what I mean? Super likable. She comes off like she's always mad about something. She's always upset about something. She comes off grouchy. People don't like that. And I know because I've come off grouchy before. So it discusses going back to Iron Man and all that. So then they go into COVID. This is all stuff that we kind of already know. The Marvel machine was pumping out a lot of content. Did it get to the point where there was just too much and they were burning people out on superheroes? It's possible, says Wall Street analyst Eric Handler. No, it's not possible. It's true. Guys, I've admitted this to you, and I even said it before Endgame came out. I said at some point people are going to get burnt out. It's not just Marvel, it's also DC with all their movies. You've got other somewhat competition, Invincibles, The Boys, the superhero stuff. There's a lot of superhero content out there. There is a lot. Is there too much? Maybe. I think there is too much. I think for me personally, and I've said this before, after Hawkeye and what I saw them do to Kingpin, I didn't hate Hawkeye entirely. It just felt like a waste of time. And I dropped the MCU for a while. I went to go see Thor in theaters, and I went to go see Doctor Strange in theaters, but I didn't see Miss Marvel, and I didn't see, I was about to say White Ghost. Why do I always get this character, like, why do I always forget this? Moon Knight. I didn't see Moon Knight, and I will at some point, but I didn't see it. I know Oscar Isaac's a great actor. I know that, right? I'm not stupid. But I wanted to take a break. It was too much. We remember, guys, within 1 year, we got WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and Hawkeye. That is 5 multiple episode stories on top of the other stuff that Disney was pumping out, like Star Wars content. And there's a lot out there, man. I've had friends of mine tell me, you got to watch this anime. You got to watch this. You got to play this game. There's not enough hours in the day, yo. There's just not enough hours in the day. So I stopped caring. And I'm one of those fans. I know people that got burnt out after Miss Marvel. I know some that got burnt out during Secret Invasion. I know some that straight up dropped Marvel after Secret Invasion. They said, no, like, I'm not watching anything on Disney Plus ever again. And that's why Loki has such low views, dude. Loki has way less hype. Even though Loki's the best show they've done since the first season, right? Loki's phenomenal. People just are checking out. It's too much content. There is such thing as too much content. They're talking about the Marvels and how it will struggle. It's saying it's going to struggle the least to pass the ball in the infield, but the movie cost $250 million, and it's going to open at 70 to 80 million. That's bad, man. But again, are you surprised? Nobody's surprised, bro. Let's keep it real. Nobody's surprised. So the story here is that they are considering bringing back Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark. First of all, we all knew that Chris Evans and Robert Downey, or at least we suspected they would come back for Secret Wars. When you've got timelines and alternate universes, you could have Robert Downey play 15 different versions of Tony Stark. You could have Tom Cruise play 15. You could have different Captain Americas. Remember, Captain Carter was Captain America in a couple of the universes. This is nothing new. So of course he's going to come back. And now with time travel, like what Joe Rogan said during his interview with Robert Downey Jr. after Endgame, now that the time travel door's been open, you can really do anything. So I knew that was going to happen. But what they're talking about here in Variety is they're talking about, and there's a lot of talk about the Marvels, bro. Look, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about the Marvels. And this is the big thing right here, is that Marvel Cinematic Universe is considering bringing in the original Avengers, and not just for Secret Wars. They're talking about bringing back ScarJo, bringing back Robert Downey, bringing back Chris Evans to reprise their roles as the original, and of course with Hawkeye, Hulk, and Thor, reprise their roles as the original 6 Avengers. I can totally see that happening. I don't think it's even a problem. What do you expect them to do? They're sitting there and they're trying to get these characters over, but they've been plagued by an overabundance of content. They've been plagued by too much content and too much bad writing. She-Hulk, I was the one guy on here who was like, look, I'm giving it a chance. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it won't be so bad. And then when that finale hit, bro, I was flabbergasted. She-Hulk is the worst thing that studio's ever produced. I actually hate it more than Thor 2. It's worse. It's worse than Iron Man 2 and 3 that a lot of folks think is the worst thing. I don't. A lot of folks hate those 2 movies. I don't hate them. She-Hulk, I hate it. Because it felt like a complete waste of my time. Like a complete waste of time. And honestly, by the end of Secret Invasion, I felt the same too. Now, I know that they had reshoots for Secret Invasion. They had to change the storyline because of the America-Russia thing with Ukraine. I know all that. I'm not stupid, guys. I understand there were behind-the-scenes reasons as to why they had to change things. Just postpone it. Honestly, you have to postpone anyways for the SAG strike. So why don't you just postpone? If you have to redo something, if you have to kill an entire plot and redo it, like with Daredevil, which is happening right now, just nuke it. That might be poor choice of words here with this political climate. Just get rid of it, excuse me, and just start over. Because instead of giving us a half-ass show that had a low budget, and I was into it till the finale. Again, that's 2 times I've given him the benefit of the doubt and it's backfired on me. 2 times. It's like, bro, just postpone it, reshoot the show. You're going to make your money back if it's good. I think now at this point, bringing back Robert Downey and Scarlett Johansson, that's definitely a desperation move. But I'm not surprised. Then there's, of course, the visual effects controversy going on, where the visual effects lead left the company. There's a lot of stuff going on there. They're talking about how Quantum Mania had a lot of bad CGI, which it did. The MODOK stuff was embarrassing. The schedule swap with the Marvels had left Ant-Man sequel in a squeeze. Look, this is all interesting stuff as far as like how... And if you guys remember, Doctor Strange was supposed to come out before Spider-Man. Like, the original schedule for Phase 4 was very different. Remember how Fantastic Four was supposed to be the last Phase 4 movie? There's no question they shifted gears. With Phase 2 and 3... there might have been a little bit of story changes. Obviously, there was a rumor that Thanos would be the villain of Avengers 2, but Joss Whedon wanted to do Ultron. So, of course, that's a small change that wound up benefiting them in the future. But here, this situation, we're moving stuff around, we're canceling stuff, we're reshooting stuff, we're rewriting stuff. They had this story for Falcon and Winter Soldier. The original plot was supposed to be about, like, a virus that hit like the world. Remember, this was shot before COVID. Then COVID happened. Well, we got to change it. It's too controversial. Then, of course, I mentioned the Ukraine thing with Russia. That the plan for... it's so funny how real world... it's not funny, but you know what I mean? Like, it's so interesting how real world stuff changed their plans. With Russia invading Ukraine and that whole conflict over there, one of the story plot points of Secret Invasion was going to be that. And that got nixed. It hasn't been all their fault. A lot of it has been Disney pushing them to put out more Disney Plus content. The other day, Star Wars Theory did a video where he just didn't understand what the hell they were thinking over at Star Wars, and now Marvel's starting to get some of that back. And Kevin Feige is a much better leader than Kathy Kennedy. Way better leader. But dude, like, they're just throwing so much in. It should be a focus on quality, not quantity. Bob Iger came back, and now Bob Iger is saying they want to go back to that. And they talk about that here. See, Victoria Alonso, they're saying that internal source suggests that Alonso was a scapegoat and point to the She-Hulk VFX issues as a symptom of a deeper rot. So this is now a civil war, guys. And this is not one of those, like, bullshit stories like Doomcock talks about, how there's an internal civil war at Marvel that he has no evidence for and stuff like, or I'm sorry, an internal civil war at Lucasfilm. This is a real story here, folks. This is really going on. There is a power struggle going on at Disney, Marvel, specifically behind the scenes, and they're having a civil war. People are pointing the finger as to why this didn't do well, that didn't do well. And Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans coming back is just them putting a Band-Aid on a bigger issue. The Band-Aid can actually help. If you bring them back and then you start writing good stories, you're good. You're good. You are good. They have to be a little bit more careful what they do. That Echo show is coming out. Dude, I so don't care. I don't even know if I'm going to watch it. It's 5 episodes. It drops in January, I think. I don't even know if I'm going to bother watching it because as much as I had no problem Echo being a co-star in Hawkeye or being in the Daredevil series, Echo's own show, I don't care. Agatha's show, I don't care. And before any idiot thinks it's because they're women, Please don't be that stupid. I'm not one of those guys. You know, I'm not an incel. Has nothing to do with that. I would love it if we saw more Wanda. I would love it if we saw more Jean Grey, stuff like that. There's plenty of women. I mean, I love She-Hulk, not the show, the character in the comics, comic book version. I like the comic version of Carol Danvers in the '80s. Maybe not what Brie Larson did with her, but you know, the comic book characters, plenty of great female characters. Same thing with Psylocke. It's that the writing is bad. Don't care about Agatha. Don't care about Echo. It's already done. They're going to put it out because they might as well. You know? And it says here the quality is suffering in 2019 was the peak. You put Marvel Studios in front of some people who were like, oh, that brand means quality. And that's true. Because Marvel in 2019 was unstoppable. Especially if you go back to 2018 and 2017 and 2016. Trace it all the way back, man. Phase 3 was great. Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, Doctor Strange 1, Infinity War, Endgame. Like, even, I liked Ant-Man 2. I like that movie. Ant-Man I think is the one series of movies that I think is actually very underrated. You understand? I like those. There was plenty more. It's just, wow, like they really have to get momentum back. That's really what it is. They're talking about Logan. Where the hell's X-Men 97? Where's that at? Bob Iger publicly acknowledged that the downside of a Marvel TV glut is diluted focus and attention. Yeah, because you're putting out a new show every couple months. Like, let it go. Do a show twice a year. You can do 3 movies a year, 3 shows a year. Or 2 movies a year, 4 shows a year. But that might even be too much. Maybe 2 and 2 is all you need. Because MCU worked as 2 movies a year for a while. Then they went to 3 movies a year. 3 movies a year and 5 TV shows, including What If. I'm including that. That's too much, man. You burn people out. Especially when you have all these unresolved plot threads. What's up with the 10 Rings? What's up with Thanos' brother Thane in Eternals? There are so many unresolved plot threads that may not even go anywhere. Remember how back in the day the end credit scene or the mid credit scene would actually be a teaser for the next movie or the movie after? We've got movies that have teasers going back to 2021 that still we don't know what's going on. That haven't even been followed up on. So they're talking about, you know, that they might change it over to somebody else. Doctor Doom's been the one that all the people have been talking about. Doctor Doom should definitely be a major focus of Secret Wars. And honestly, I think Doctor Doom debuting, maybe not in Secret Wars, but debuting in Fantastic Four and Phase 6 and being one of the pivotal villains of Phase 7, Phase 8 would be great. Keep him around. You don't have to kill him off. He can be the one guy who always gets away. Oh, that damn Avengers, they beat me, but I'll get him next time. Because that's Doctor Doom, man. Doctor Doom is so awesome because he doesn't give up. He does not give up. And they're talking about recasting Majors. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if that is a good idea. The Inhumans was also a big flop. Like, I didn't even see it. I didn't even see that. I know that it was on YouTube, but I never got around to seeing it. The Don Cheadle thing, that was more of a problem with Terrence Howard and Edward Norton. There was a bumpy start for a while. They talked about Guardians 3 being a good movie, which it was, but that's James Gunn, who is now, and it says here, yeah, James Gunn dipped. Bye, deuces. He jumped off of the sinking ship. You understand what I'm saying? And they're talking about the key is X-Men. There's a lot of rumors about the Captain Marvel end credit scene having X-Men involvement. It's even in the trailers. And Deadpool 3. I do think that Deadpool 3, if it's good, is going to bring people back. Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, I think that'll bring people back. I really do. They have a chance. I don't think Marvel fans have checked out completely. I think Disney Star Wars is worse, far worse. I think Marvel fans are being more cautious with what they pay for and what they go see. So again, this article, none of this surprises me. It's weird. People seem so shocked. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. None of this surprises me. We all kind of knew it. What surprises me, well, no, Marvel's not stupid. They have to know this is not working. Feige knows. Take control of your brand and fix it. I don't think it's too late. I want to like Marvel. Most of you guys in the chat, you probably grew up on the Iron Man movies or Raimi's Spider-Man. Most of you guys want to like this, right? You don't want to hate it. Who wants to hate something they grew up with? They got to fix it, man. Those are my thoughts, man. Take care. I'll talk more about this if we get more information. See you soon.